Dear Patriots, before the news starts, please subscribe to our patriotic channel by clicking the subscribe button. Give us a thumbs up to this video. Don't forget to leave your opinion below in the comments section. Share the news on Facebook and Twitter so you friends see it. Thank you.
Dems just passed massive ban, effective immediately. All must be removed or be fined $1,000 per day. And it's here, folks. What the Socialist and Communist Fascist left has been working towards is finally happening. On Monday night, the Fascists leaders in the village of Deerfield, Illinois voted unanimously to ban semi-automatic rifles, along with some pistols and even shotguns with certain features, as well as with magazines that hold more than 10 rounds of ammunition. And now gun owners in that city have just over 2 months to remove those kinds of firearms from their homes or become felons as of June of this year. One change from the law as it was originally discussed exempts retired police officers from the ban. But violations carry a steep fine of between $250 and $1,000 per day, according to Matthew Rose, the village attorney. He said the fine is levied each day until there is compliance. Sadly, there isn't much pushback in this village, so there probably won't be much of any kind of any lawsuits against the ordinance unless the NRA wants to get involved, which is doubtful considering they already have enough on their plate thanks to the left coercing the Parkland shooting students into being mouthpieces for them. Folk, this is what happens when a government is out of control. The vote in Deerfield was unanimous. Even though the area is practically crime-free, this will now be an advertisement to most criminals that they can go into that city to commit crimes and there won't be much of a pushback. But it will be very interesting to see exactly how this ordinance affects crime in the area. This is the left's plan. They disarm law-abiding citizens, then they take our First Amendment rights away. And since we can't defend ourselves, there isn't much we will be able to do but sit back and watch. Like people in the UK are doing now as they are being put in jail for attacking Islam on social media. Here is more information on this ban via the Chicago Tribune. Owners of assault weapons living in North Suburban Deerfield have until June 13 to remove the firearms from within village limits or face daily fines after a ban was approved Monday night. The Village Board of Trustees unanimously approved a ban on certain types of assault weapons and high-capacity magazines, amending a 2013 ordinance that regulated the storage of those items. The new ordinance prohibits the possession, sale and manufacturing of certain types of assault weapons and large-capacity magazines within the village, according to the ordinance. One change from the law as it was originally discussed exempts retired police officers from the ban, according to village manager Ken Street. Violations carry a fine of between $250 and $1,000 per day, according to Matthew Rose, the village attorney. He said the fine is levied each day until there is compliance. Street said the new law is modeled after one approved by Highland Park in 2013. That ban survived a legal challenge by one of the city's residents and the Illinois State Rifle Association. The 7th U.S. Circuit Court of Appeals held that legislation constitutional and the U.S. Supreme Court let the decision stand when it declined to take up the appeal. Unlike Highland Park, Deerfield opted not to enact a total ban on assault weapons during a 10-day window that Illinois lawmakers gave home rule municipalities in 2013 before the state's new Firearm Concealed Carry Act eliminated their ability to do so. However, Deerfield trustees did enact an ordinance defining assault weapons and requiring the safe storage and safe transportation of those weapons within the village. That measure, which was enacted during the permitted time frame, preserved Deerfield's right to amend the ordinance in the future, Street previously said. This is not only held constitutional by the 7th Circuit, but similar laws have been ruled constitutional in California, the District of Columbia and Maryland, Rose said last month. The original resolution said that since Deerfield enacted its regulations, assault weapons have been increasingly used in an alarming number of notorious mass shooting incidents at public schools, public venues, places of worship and places of public accommodation. Document, Deerfield Assault Weapon Ordinance. In the ordinance, the definition of an assault weapon includes, among others, semi-automatic rifles that have a fixed magazine with the capacity to accept more than 10 rounds of ammunition, shotguns with a revolving cylinder, and semi-automatic pistols and rifles that can accept large-capacity magazines and possess one of a list of other features. Among the dozens of specific models cited are the AR-15, AK-47 and Uzi, according to the ordinance. The rationale mentions 4 recent shooting incidents that have claimed a total of 150 lives, the shootings at Marjory Stoneman Douglas High School that left 17 dead, a massacre at the First Baptist Church in Sutherland Springs, Texas that killed 26 people, the Las Vegas Music Festival shooting that left 58 dead, and the Pulse nightclub mass shooting in Orlando, Florida that killed 49 people. Though the trustees had virtually no debate Monday night, more than 70 people attended the meeting. Of the 20 people who spoke, 14 were opposed to the ordinance and 6 supported it. 8 of 14 people who expressed opposition to the ban said they lived outside Deerfield. Opponents of the ban like Larry Nordell of Deerfield cited their rights under the Second Amendment and expressed fear that more restrictive laws would be passed in the future. The ordinance to store firearms was only passed for one reason, Nordell said. That was to have an mandatory vehicle that could be used in the future for just this purpose, so you could banish assorted firearms in the future. First it's going to be assault rifles. There will be new bans in the future. It's just a matter of time. Ariella Karask, a Deerfield High School senior who favors the legislation, said she wants more action both on a local and national level. This is our fight, Karask said. This is our generation's fight. We're going to keep fighting, and this is part of it. Change happens gradually, step by step. The fight does not end at the borders of our village. Joel Siegel of Lincolnwood said governments in other countries have banned weapons and then proceeded to use weapons against defenseless citizens. He urged civil disobedience as a way to stay safe. There's an ancient and honored American tradition called disobeying an unjust law, Siegel said. I have urged people to listen to their conscience, and if so moved, do not obey this law. Mike Weissman, a Glen Ellen resident and a board member of the Illinois State Rifle Association, said Deerfield should be prepared for a lawsuit like the one filed against neighboring Highland Park. That city received assistance with its legal defense from gun violence prevention organizations, according to Street. While the trustees did not discuss their reasons for supporting the ordinance at this meeting, Trustee Barbara Struthers said she knew of people who were opposed but chose not to come and speak because it would subject them to ridicule in the community. She wants none of that. I'm going to vote for the ordinance, but people who disagree with the gun owners should not be beating them over the head just because they disagree, Struthers said. Deerfield Mayor Harriet Rosenthal has previously stated that she decided to take up the ban after the February 14 school shooting in Parkland, Florida. Enough is enough, Rosenthal said when the ban was first discussed. Those students are so articulate, just like our students. There is no place here for assault weapons. HT The Daily Wire. Unapologetic cop posts epic message after homeowner's son uses AR-15 to drop 3 thugs. A retired police officer posted an epic message to former Vice President Joe Biden on social media this week after what a homeowner's son did to protect his family in Broken Arrow, Oklahoma. At around 12:30 p.m. the 23-year-old who was asleep at the time awoke to loud bangs coming from what seemed like was the outside of the house around the area of the glass door in the back. The son then proceeded to grab his AR-15 and took position ready to defend himself and his home. As soon as the intruders, who were all wearing black clothing, masks and gloves, forced their way into the home and came down the hallway, he opened fire. 2 of the suspects collapsed and died in the kitchen, a third suspect managed to get out of the house but collapsed and died in the yard. 2 of the deceased individuals were 17 years old and one was 18. Deputy Mahoney of the Broken Arrow Police Department said investigators found a knife on one of the deceased in the kitchen and brass knuckles on the other. Later that same day, a 21-year-old Elizabeth Marie Rodriguez went to the Broken Arrow Police Department and turned herself in. She confessed to being the getaway driver for the dead trio and was immediately arrested and was charged with 3 complaints, each of first-degree murder and first-degree burglary. But now, A retired cop, Dustin Rogers, posted an epic social media post pointing as to why former Vice President Joe Biden's comments about only needing a shotgun were so asinine. An AR-15 is harder to aim and harder to use? Really? How so genius? I guess when you have had private security and the Secret Service for most of your life, you just don't need to worry about the same issues us common folks have to worry about when it comes to our safety. How would you ever recommend any woman should defend herself against 3 thugs entering her home who are armed with knives and brass knuckles? Luckily for Biden and his family, they don't need to worry about it, so they are okay if our families can't defend themselves. Here is another example of a use for an AR-15 via the Oswego patch. A witness used an AR-15 rifle to stop a knife attack Monday in the 100 block of Harbor Drive, the Kendall County Sheriff's Office said. According to police, deputies responded to a report of one person with a knife and another with a gun at the Oswego Township apartment complex. An investigation revealed the incident began as an neighbor dispute, with the suspect inflicting multiple stab wounds on the victim, a 28-year-old man. On Tuesday evening, the Kendall County Sheriff's Office said 2 people, a 19-year-old Naperville woman and a 22-year-old Oswego man, have been charged with aggravated battery and mob action, both felonies, in connection with the incident. Detective Brian Harrell said Jacob Curry, who lives in the Harbor Drive apartment building, is accused of stabbing the victim, who was taken to Rush Copley Hospital in Aurora. Harrell said teenager Alyssa Wright of the 8400 block of Una Avenue in Naperville, was complicit to the point that it resulted in charges in the attack. Harrell declined to release further details about what happened in the apartment complex or what caused the dispute that led to the stabbing. I can't give specifics, Harrell said, declining to say what role police believe Wright played in the stabbing. The 28-year-old victim had been released from the hospital by Tuesday evening, Harrell said. Police said a witness to the stabbing retrieved an AR-15 rifle from his apartment and stopped the knife attack with only a threat of force. The witness had both a valid firearm owner's ID card and a concealed carry permit, according to the sheriff's office. The witness, who spoke with WGN-TV, said he ran to grab his AR-15 after hearing the commotion and seeing a pool of blood in the apartment building hallway. Blood was everywhere, said neighbor Dave Thomas, adding that he chose the AR-15 over a handgun because, bigger gun, I think a little more of an intimidation factor. Definitely played a part in him actually stopping. Thomas, who told the Chicago Tribune he teaches concealed carry classes, said Curry was half a breath away from getting his head blown off and he knew that, adding, that's why he put the knife down. Thomas told reporters he ordered the suspect to stop the attack and then kept him in place until police arrived. The suspect reportedly got away briefly, but was apprehended by deputies. Police initially said a knife-wielding suspect was quickly located and taken to the Kendall County Sheriff's Department. On Tuesday evening, the sheriff's office said 2 people, Curry and Wright, were actually taken into custody. Curry was previously arrested on a domestic battery charge in May 2017, accused of smashing an egg on his girlfriend's head in Yorkville before throwing her into a wall. In July, he was arrested again by Kendall County Police on Harbor Drive, accused of aggravated battery of a pregnant woman. Several days later, he was again charged, accused of nearly hitting 2 pedestrians, running a stop sign and crashing into a tree on Marina Drive before fleeing on foot. Curry was reportedly leaving the Harbor Drive apartment complex where deputies had been called for a report of loud screaming prior to the crash. The Kendall County Sheriff's Office said they were assisted by the Oswego Police Department, Montgomery Police Department, Aurora Police Department, King County Sheriff's Office, Kendall County Criminal Intelligence Team and members of the public. HT Conservative Tribune.